Well, it's Tuesday, and you all know what that means. As always, we have NXT featuring a lot of things happen. As you know, Stephanie Vakir, who is now the first ever double champion to carry both the NXT Women's Championship and the Women's North American Championship, is the first time ever, and that's why she's calling herself La Primera, which means the first. But the real question is, can she handle both? Because deep down, there's two enemies coming from both sides, and we'll get to that. And then, of course, as you know, originally I called them Shield 2.0. Now they got themselves a name called Dark State. They officially now decide to make a statement on what's been going on. And not to mention, of course, the calling, as you know, making their presence known. The D'Angelo family are looking for a way to get even with them, and we'll get to that as well. And then finally, our main event features the NXT Underground. Eddie Thorpe, who has been undefeated in this thing, will face against Trick Williams, a guy he's been dealing with from day one. And then, of course, first things first, we're going to be doing something very different. Many of you may have heard of this Canadian promotion, Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. Well, I finally saw both nights, and they're awesome. I love it. So we'll get to all of it from A to Z on that one. And then we cap up our episode, as always, with some news updates on what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, but also as the last time with the last episode, there are no developments whatsoever. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that it's pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling views from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK. Anywhere in the world pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all pleasantries have been said. I believe it's time to raise some hell. So let's begin, of course, with Canadian promotion Maple Leaf Pro with Night 1 of Mayhem at Windsor, Ontario, Canada. Alrighty then. As you know, we got Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. This is the first time I actually get to review. Now, I did not see the last one, Forge of Excellence. Basically, I was procrastinating a few times on that one due to other reviews I was trying to get to, but I failed on the first time. But, however, I got my head out of my butt and finally decided to do this one. And this is their latest one called Mayhem. Now, some of you may unfamiliarize with this promotion. This promotion has been around for a long time, but it was revived by none other than Scott D'Amore. Yes, the same Scott D'Amore From you guys remember from Impact all the way to TNA. And of course, this is a Canadian promotion. Basically, you'll see wrestlers from Canada, which I have no problem with. I mean, they do have some good talent. Not going to lie about that either. But we do see wrestlers that we know anywhere in the world, either here in the States or in Japan or Mexico, wherever pro wrestling is at. So this is night one of from Maple Leaf Pro with Mayhem. This took place recently on the 14th of March, which is a Friday at the St. Clair's College. And of course, it was a pretty good show. So let's talk about the opening match. Our opening match, we have the Jet Setters featuring, of course, Kushida and, of course, Kevin Knight. However, they have to deal with Blake Christian and that idiot QT Marshall. Now, of course, you know QT Marshall thinks he's all that he thinks that his expertise, that his experience is going to be top notch and all that. But here's the problem: him and Blake Christian are a makeshift team. They may have the same egos, but the problem they're facing is Kushida and Kevin Knight are, in fact, a much cohesive team, better suited to coexist better than them. And that's the one key thing. But however, it was Kevin Knight who picked up the win and on to Christian. And just like that, uno, dos, tres, adios, Blake Christian. So I'm sure QT Marshall was not happy with it. Our next match, we had an 8-man tag match. First, we have, yeah, Johnny Singh. Yeah, Big Daddy. He needs to shut up sometimes. He teams up with Raj Singh, Rohit Raju, and Rohan Raja. They take on Bhupinder Gurjar, Psycho Mike, El Reveso, and of course, he's Mr. Ass Man. Or as Anthony Bowen says, Scissor me, daddy ass. Yep, the same guy. So you probably guessed this was going to be a pretty good match because A, you have Billy Gunn involved in this. Yes, I mean, he's one of those guys you definitely want to have fun with, and enjoy the match. But the real question how this was going to go down, well, it was Rohan who picked up the win onto El Reverso, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, in recent time, ever since this event was being promoted, as you probably can guess, they started the first ever MLP Women's Canadian Championship tournament. So basically, it was going to determine who will be becoming the first women champion in this promotion. And this will take place at another event later on in May. We'll get to that at some point. But there have been two dark matches that are already established, but they were not you couldn't see them, but I'm not gonna get to that anyway. But here's the matches they do have for that one. The first one we have, of course, this is part of the quarterfinals. We have Kylie Ray versus Zoe Zager. Now, yes, it's the same Kylie Ray you all know, the same one who's been having emotional issues. I mean, remember after what happened with AEW, then Impact Wrestling, and of course she's a WWE ID prospect, so you probably can guess that. But the match was pretty good, but it seems like in this case, it could have been Zoe Zager who could have picked up the win because it seemed like it was going to that. But somehow Kylie Ray was able to uh, counter it with when they tried to do the Dragon Sweeper, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, Kylie countered it one, and it was over right from there. So she moved on to the next round. Next up, we have Sheldon Jean taking on Kaito Kiyomiya. Now, it seems like they know each other too well from a previous time. Don't know exactly what it is, but it seems like Shelton Jean could have won this match because he seems like he had everything under control. But you got to remember, Kaito Kiyomiya refuses to stay down, and he applied, of course, the Shining Wizard, or now as they call it, the Shining Lancer. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, Kiyomiya won the match. Now, our next match is a 6-man scramble match for the Jericho Cruise Oceanic Championship. Yeah, so that means you have not 1, 2, but 6 people fighting for one championship. First, we have Michael Allen Richard Clark. Yeah, that's a long ass name. Versus Rich Swan. Yes, the same Rich Swan you know. Brent Banks versus Stu Grayson. Some of you guys are familiarized from the Dark Order. And then, of course, all from New Japan and formerly of Noah, Taiji Shimori, and of course the current champion Mo Jabari. Now, when it comes to scramble matches, you don't know how this was going to turn out. I mean, there's plenty of ways this could have won in many aspects. I mean, Probably it didn't matter who was going to win, but the real question how this was going to end. Well, it seems like this match ended with Jabari applying a pretty interesting high elbow drop onto Brent Banks, and just like that, it was over. But however, apparently the following day, Michael Allen Richard Clark has a match against PCO in a street fight. Well, PCO decides to give him a little piece of his mind and just left a lot of carnage in his wake. So, well, Michael Allen Clark should have just kept his mouth shut. Now, Sam Laterna, who's been serving as the backstage interviewer, interviewed QT Marshall and Blake Christian. Of course, QT Marshall was going to be saying some shenanigans, and then all of a sudden, he decided to talk to Sheldon Jean about, his future, because he sees a lot of potential in his perspective way. But however, I don't know what they're planning. Now, our next match, we have Mike Bennett taking on Alex Zane. Yes, the same Alex Zane who loves Taco Bell. So, I mean, the match was pretty good. I'm not going to lie. I mean, it seems like Alex Zane could have won this match in any way possible. But, however, Bennett decided to weasel his way out by using the ref and then doing a power driver on Alex Zane, which was highway robbery in this particular match. So, you can guess how that one turned out. Now, we did see, of course, an interview with Sam, and she talked to the current NWA World Heavyweight Champion, Tom Latimer. Now, as you know, Tom Latimer understands the significance of this promotion. It turns out that this was not the first time the NWA World Heavyweight title has been defended in Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, but the last time it was exchanged from someone in that promotion, all like decades ago. But Tom Latimer knows what's at stake. He feels like, I don't want to go back to the boss and tell Billy Boy, I'm sorry I lost the world title. He knows what that means. But he knows who he's facing. He's facing Bishop Dyer, aka formerly known as um, Baron Corbin. So that's going to be interesting. Now, our next match, we have the Women's Canadian Championship quarterfinals. We have Laney Luck versus the quintessential diva Giselle Shaw. So Giselle Shaw seems like the hometown girl in this particular match, who was most likely could win. But however, Laney Luck was having a bit of the control in this match. But unfortunately, she ended up getting KO with a knee strike by Giselle Shaw, and just like that, 1, 2, 3. However, in related to this match, Sam Laterna interviewed Serena Deeb, who won her match in the dark matches they had earlier in the day, and she now knows who she's going to face. She's going to face Giselle Shaw. So basically, as you probably can guess, will be a pinnacle of their matches. Who of those two will walk into the finals at the later event in May? So we'll see about that. Now, our main event is the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Bishop Dyer, formerly known as Baron Corbin, challenges for the NWA Championship against Tom Latimer. So you ask yourselves how this was going to go. I mean, there's some moments you see Bishop Dyer did everything humanly possible to win. But however, Tom Latimer decided to be a bit more vile by taking down Baron Corbin and then using the ropes for leverage. Ref did not see it, so he cheated his way through to ensure he didn't lose the title. But that's how it goes. So that's how everything finishes on night one. But let's move on with night two of Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. Okay, night two of Maple Leaf's Mayhem, and this took place on the 15th of March at the same place, the St. Clair College, whatever it is. Now, it opened up in a trio, in a six-man tag team match. We have Blake Christian, QT Marshall, and Sheldon Jean, who decided to join his little QT Marshall's little misfits, of course. They take on Bhupinder Gurjar, El Reveso, and Psycho Mike. I mean, I have to say Bhupinder, El Reveso, and Psycho Mike, they seem like a faction that needs to be formed right there. I mean, not to mention I enjoyed watching them for what they can do. But the real question how this was going to be. I mean, Bhupinder almost had everything under control when he was about to do the gargoyle spear, but nothing came of it. But we did see some interesting maneuvers from Blake Christian when he applied a Spanish fly onto Universal, and then QT applied the QT cutter on Universal. 1, 2, 3. It was over. Now, as we jump into the semifinals of the Maple Leaf Women's Canadian Championship tournament, we have Taylor Rising versus Kylie Ray. So the real question is, which of these two will go to the finals in May? So that's very obvious. I mean, Taylor Rising, as always, I think, in my opinion, some people might have thought she could win it because A, she's Canadian and that's how it is. But Kylie has been recognized throughout the world, I mean, for what she does. A real fun loving, always smiling. But Kylie Ray knows what's at stake. She wants to become the first time champion for this promotion while she's still part of the WWID prospect. So you probably can guess that. But it was Kylie who walked away with the win when she applied a crossface. And of course, Taylor Rising tried not to tap out. Well, eventually she gave up and tap out. Next up, we have a four-way match. We have Taiji Shimori versus Stu Grayson versus the Sauce Alex Zane versus Kaito Kiyomiya. So I wasn't too sure where this is going to go. I mean, all four guys are amazing. I mean, in their own way. But I wasn't too sure where this is going to go. I mean, Taiji Shimori, I know how much he's determined to prove what he is made of. Stu Grayson, well, locally a Canadian who probably would like to show what the world is all about. Then there's Alex Zane, real fun in person who enjoys eating Taco Bell. And then Kaito Kiyomiya, well recognized in Noah. But this match ended with Alex Zane applying the taco driver onto Ishimori, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, over. Now, our next match is the semifinals of the women's Canadian Championship Tournament, Serena Deeb versus Giselle Shaw. Now, of course, many of you would know Serena Deeb is the type of person who knows how to exploit weakness on someone's body, no matter what, and using all her technical expertise as a way to ensure she walks away with the win. And that's exactly what she tried to do. However, Giselle Shaw did everything humanly possible not to fall, but exactly she was able to overcome it by applying a somewhat of a modified crucifix, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. However, of course, during the post match, Kylie Ray came down to shake her hands to be that respectful wrestler to saying, make the best woman win in the semifinals at the finals in May. However, Giselle Shaw attacked Kylie Ray, but Giselle Shaw tried to tell her that in this business there is no friends. It's about who's going to walk out victorious, and that's exactly what she intends to do in May. I don't know if Kylie Ray might have didn't realize that she got herself into a pile of problems to herself, not realizing that Giselle Shaw is not going to allow someone like Kylie Ray to take away a title that has no meaning to her, but to Kylie she feels it does. But we'll see. Our next match, we have a street fight. Michael Allen and Richard Clark versus PCO. Now, I don't know if this guy Michael Allen Richard Clark has any expertise in street fights. I mean, PCO, we've seen him. I mean, he used a lot of plunder, like tables, ladders, chairs, barbed wires, whatever comes across, and everything he did, of course, uh, you know, he destroys. And that's when he used a boarded barbed wire onto Michael Allen, and just with the PCO salt, and just like that, crushing him like a pancake, put him in an excruciating pain. 1, 2, 3, over. Now, Sam Laturna conducted an interview with the Kingdom, more specifically Matt Taven and Bennett. As you probably can guess, the main event features them taking on a well-established tag team who is yet to be defeated in some capacity. So, and that is, of course, the Jet Setters. And of course, we all know the Kingdom will do whatever it takes to win. But, however, it seems that QT and his misfits of morons decided that they had some business they want to talk to. I'm sure they want to send a statement to the world about the Jet Setters, but we'll see what that leads. Now, our next match, we have tag team action. Matt Cardona teaming up with Tom Latimer versus Bishop Dyer and, of course, Billy Gunn. I thought this match was very interesting. I mean, I wasn't too sure. But you have noticed, you have three wrestlers who used to be in WWE. So you probably know how that will roll up. But I have to say, Bishop Dyer and Billy Gunn were a team that I wasn't too sure if they can coexist. It seems that they were able to coexist when, of course, Billy Gunn took out uh, was named Matt Cardona with the famous sir, but they gave, of course, Bishop Dyer to get a bit of a payback to Latimer when they applied the end of days, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Our next match, this is a championship. I don't know where is it from, but this is from the PWA Championship, uh, Champions Grail title. Rich Swann versus Rohi Raja. I have to say, it's a very interesting match, and it was pretty good. But however, Raja decided to eye gouge Rich Swann and then applied a face slam just to ensure he walks out as the win. Now for a main event, the Kingdom, Matt Taven and Mike Bennett versus the Jet Setters. You think this match was any good? Hell to the yes, because the suspense, because you don't know how this is going to go. I mean, the Kingdom have been well recognized for years, but when it comes to the Jet Setters, they've been recognized even more in Japan and here in the States. But the referee was pulled out when, of course, the Jet Setter had this match won, all thanks to that moron QT Marshall and his cohorts of Misfits decided to get involved. And then, of course, we did see Rich Swann and Psycho Mike the get involved until the Walking Weapon showed up and take care of business and took out QT Marshall that serves him right. And then, of course, Kushida was able to pick up a win by pinning Bennett, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, the Jet Setters won. I'm sure QT is going to be crying like a big baby that he can't believe this has happened. Well, your plan failed, and of course, you got the Walking Weapon who made a decision to show up. I'm sure he is going to demand for a match against him, but we'll see what happens. But for now, we are officially done with Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, and I think it's time to move on to our last and final review, NXT. NXT. We'd open up with the WWE Women's United States Championship match. So Ruka challenges, of course, against Chelsea Green. Now, of course, it's very interesting to see a title that's not part of the brand was able to make it to the NXT brand. And this is the first time, of course, we've seen that. We've seen the WWE Women's Championship, the Women's Tag Team Championship on the line before. But another title, that's a different story. But now, it's a different thing. However, of course, certain aspects how this was going to turn out. Well, that's easy. Of course, So Ruka will always have Zyra by her side, but when it comes to Chelsea Green, Shalora has Piper and Alba Fire by her side, the cabinet. And of course, Alba Fire gets involved, and then Saria took her out, then Piper Nevins. But So Ruka lost tax by taking her out, but this gave chance for Chelsea to apply the Unprettier onto her, and then 1, 2, 3, retain the belt. So basically, the situation is So Ruka lost due to the numbers game. Now, Trick Williams and Javon Evans, as you know, they've been arguing back and forth. Javon Evans feels like he wants to reach the top, but Trick Evans feels like he's never going to make it to the top the same way he did. But of course, he wants him, hey, I'm right here, idiot. So basically, he's kind of like saying you're ignoring him. Now, as you all know, the D'Angelo family are still trying to deal with the calling after what happened, with Izzy Dane turning their backs on uh on the D'Angelo family to side with Sean Spears and the calling. So Stacks decided to take charge. However, Tony D'Angelo, of course, he is like saying, "You got this. You're the underboss. You have this under control." So he's gonna watch it from the back. Now, we did see Stephanie Vakir making her presence known, but she did address the NXT universe that English was not her first language. It's wrestling that's her first language. But the real question, I think, for Stephanie Vakir, who was going to be the first to challenge her? Well, Jordan Grace attempting to do that, but Jada Parker decided, oh, hell no, bitch. You're not going to take away my chance. So basically, that's what's going to happen. So Jada Parker will challenge Stephanie Vaquer for the NXT Championship. So that's how it's going to go. Now, for a while, Hank and Tank has been trying to get themselves, to get noticed, to make a name for themselves as established tag team. So they had to go to the extreme. And now they face against Josh Briggs and Yoshiko Inamura. Now, you can say that Josh Briggs and Inamura have become a very good cohesive team since they teamed. Not to mention they were opponents back during Noah at the N1 Victory Tour. And of course, you ask yourselves who's going to walk out. I mean, there has been some interesting moments from both teams, but it was Inamura who picked up the win by applying a big splash on Tank, and just like that, it was over. Now, in the locker room, we did see Eddie Thorpe making his presence known, but people were walking out because they're disgusted by him. I mean, look, Eddie Thorpe cheated his way through to ensure he gets to the NXT Championship reign, and of course, people don't like that. And of course, Rich Holland was right there. He appreciates, of course, the fact that what he's doing. But however, would that work in their favor? Well, we don't know. We know Rich Holland will have to deal with Ricky Starks soon enough. Now, our next match, we have the D'Angelo family: Adriano Rizzo, Luca Cristofinos, and Channing Stacks Lorenzo taking on the Collins. Izzy Dane, Nico Vance, and what's his name, Brooke Jensen. So of course, this is a bit of payback for what's been going on between both groups, between the Culling and the D'Angelo family. Things seemed like they were going well for the D'Angelo family. However, in the back, the D'Angelo family had to witness the Don getting attacked by Dark State, or as originally I called them until they get a name, Shield 2.0, and they just attacked the D'Angelo, and just putting the rest of the members on like what the hell just happened. And this distraction gave opportunity for the Colin to make their official attack until Nico Vance was able to pin Luca Cristofino, and just like that, 1, 2, 3. I mean, the Colin may have got lucky with this match, but sooner or later they may have to deal with the Dark State. But we'll see. Now, in the back, we did see General Manager Ava talking with Stephanie Vaquer, as always, due to her upcoming match against Jada Parker. However, Fallon Henley completely decided to bitch and complain about the fact that she wants her rematch for the North American Championship. However, she intended to have it next week, but however, she faces Jada Parker for the NXT title. But Stephanie's like, just give her the match. So basically, Stephanie Vaquer's now been put in a very like you can say, it's a negative predicament where she has to face both ladies for both championships in different timing. Basically, one title over the next. So we'll see how that rolls up. Our next match, we have Carmen Petrovic versus Jay-Z Jane. Well, this match, you can think that Carmen Petrovic has not been successful in picking up good wins. However, her beau, Ashante Dinadatis, tried to have her use the chair, but she refuses until Jay-Z Jane knocked her out in 1, 2, 3. Just like that, it was over. Now, in the back, Tank and Hank don't know what to do. They feel like they've done everything humanly possible to establish themselves. But once again, Wesley, Tyson DuPont, and Tyreek Igwe decided to show maybe they're not meant to be as a stable team because, they think they're all that. But sooner or later, I'm sure Tank and Tank will get their rhythm going somehow. Now, our next match, we have Ricky Saints versus Rich Holland. Now, this match happened because Rich Holland is calling him an outsider. Look, there's been plenty of outsiders too. So basically, Ricky Saints had to deal with, of course, the power of Rich Holland throughout the match. But it only took one shot, of course, for, of course, Ricky Starks to apply a Rochambeau. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, Dark State, as you probably know, they're making their presence known on what's going on. And apparently they want to restructure NXT in their favor. So basically they have some things in store. Now, Kelly Kincaid conducts an interview with Rick Starks about his match defeating Rich Holland until he was interrupted by the calling. It seems you know how they are. They don't like Ricky Starks due to being an outsider. But there was one person who was an outsider. And that outsider was none other than Shawn Spears. But sooner or later, Ricky Starks will deal with them one way or the other. Now, our next match, we have our main event, the NXT Underground match, Eddie Thorpe versus Trick Williams. Now, of course, Eddie Thorpe, as you know, has already beaten Trick Williams many times, but Trick Williams feel like this cannot end with him, losing in this fashion. So that's what he's trying to do. But of course, this is Eddie Thorpe's domain with the NXT Underground. But Trick Williams was able to overcome it by applying a trick shot, and just like that, it was over. 1, 2, 3. However, during the post-match promo, Trick Williams called out Eddie Thorpe, Obafemi, because as you know, Trick Williams wants his title back. However, Javon Evans tried to intervene. But of course, while they were distracted, apparently the Stark State showed up to make their statement known until all hell broke loose between Femi, Javon Evans, and of course Trick Williams. So basically, you can guess how this is going to go. We did see Obafemi being taken down, but Javon Evans was right in the face of Trick Williams. So basically, we'll see what happens next week over that. So right now, we are done with NXT. So let's move on with our last and final thing, news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. Now, I did mention earlier we do not have any developments involving, so we're just going to focus on upcoming events from the promotions. Now, as always, we have GCW. As you know, on the 30th of March, we have the Chicago show, America's Most Wanted. They just announced Sam Stackhouse taking on Otis Cogar. Now, an interesting match has been announced for the upcoming Joey Janela Spring Break 9 on the 18th in Las Vegas. Actis Cogar versus Fuego del Sol. Now, it seems that Fuego did have a recent match in Atlantic City against Actis Cogar, and he lost. However, this match turned into GCW Career versus GCW. It's more like loser leaves GCW, and I think that's the idea. So we'll see where that goes. Of course, on the other show in Las Vegas, Effie's Big Gay Brunch on the 19th of April, they just announced Abaddon will be making her presence known. Now, as you know, the GCW Tournament of Survival 10, will happen on the 7th of June in Atlantic City. Then I did mention Dr. Redacted is the first to be announced. 3 more names have been announced to participate. Matt Tremont, Mr. Danger, and the Duke of Hardcore, John Wayne Murdoch. Now, the next ones, as you probably can guess, we have a couple of Las Vegas shows taking place during WrestleMania week. We do have, of course, Spark Joshi Puroresu of America taking place on the 17th of April in Las Vegas, called Lady Luck. As you know, they've been recruiting already Stardom talent. Another one has been announced, and that is Azuki. So if I have any subscribers who are big Azuki fans, go get your tickets to go see the show in Las Vegas if you're planning to go to. Deadlock Pro Wrestling announced that they will be participating at Las Vegas as well during WrestleMania week on the 18th of April, called the Title Fight in Vegas. So all championships will be defended: the World, Tag Team, National, and I think that's pretty much it. So we'll see where that goes. Now, we do have, of course, other promotions not involved in the Las Vegas show. Jersey Championship Wrestling with Mayflowers on the 11th of May on Ashbury Park. They announced Billy Starks versus Zeta Steel, AEW versus WWID. So keep that in mind. And then finally, West Coast Pro will have When the Lights Go Down in the City on the 30th of May. They just announced Lee Moriarty will be participating. And then finally, as you know, Kitsune Women's Wrestling has announced names for their upcoming shows on June 7th in San Diego and June 8th in LA. Another Yoshi name has been announced, and this one, I have to say, if I do get a chance, I'm going to go see it. Tea Hamna is going to be there. So yeah, I'm so excited with the roster. I hope more names. I hope they put Unagi Sayaka. I'm hoping so. But right now, let's just wait and see what else they have. So I got to get my tickets out for that sooner. So I think that's pretty much it for everything for our news updates and all our reviews. So I think it's time to call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we have AEW Dynamite. So that's going to be our top priority. However, Saturday Night Girls had one of their biggest shows, so it's going to be interesting to watch. I'm looking forward to two particular matches. I'm looking forward. Stardom Talent will be participating. Aya Sakura will finally get an opportunity to get a shot of the Sendai Girls Junior World title against Chi Chi. So the real question is, can Aya Sakura pull it off? We'll just have to wait and see. And of course, High Mate members of EXV, Micah and Hanako will challenge for the tag team belts. So that's going to be interesting to see. If there's anything else, I'll let you guys know. So we'll see what happens. But as of right now, this is it. Until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.